opinions stated in this podcast do not reflect the opinions of the Alestle or SIUE as a whole. Welcome back to another episode of Alestle After Hours. I'm your host, Sam Muren, and today we have two wonderful guests joining me, including a new voice. I know, we just love having new voices on this show. But first, let's start with the experienced one. Tahzive Avi Islam, our graduate assistant, and also our graphics editor and our multimedia editor. So, Tahzive, thank you for joining us. Our new voice. And sitting on my left is a reporter named Gavin Quinlan. Gavin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you on. And Tahzive, again, it's good to see you. Been on recently. Not the last episode, but recently.
Thank you, Sam.
This is only your second time, right?
Right.
So I got a whole bunch of rookies with me. Man, that's all right. That's all right. We'll get comfortable. We'll get locked right in. We got some good stuff to talk about today. I am looking forward to asking you about your projects. Obviously, Tahzive not writing a story, but he does have some video content that should be out by now. But in case it's not, then you can check it out soon. It should be out then.
Right.
But it's really good stuff, and it'll be really interesting to talk about. And Gavin, obviously writing his first two stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
First two, and a bit different. One was a club and one was a sport. So
yes,
you have a good contrast there. Now, do you have a favorite? Let's see. Do you have a favorite story that you wrote between the two?
Out of the two, I love the Cougar Common Ground, the one about the club, just because it's such an interesting subject. I didn't even know about it before going into it, but now that I know all of the stuff about it, I'd like to join, honestly.
Yeah.
After everything I've learned.
Now, Gavin, you are a freshman, correct?
Yes.
So I was in your shoes. When I joined the Alestle, I was also a freshman reporter. And I'll tell you, the best luxury of being a freshman on the Alestle is you learn about everything so much faster than everyone else. Like, you can't believe how many things that go on the campus. You're like, oh, it can't be that much. It really is. There's really so much going on. And as a regular student, I feel like you don't hear about it. But with the paper, you do. You're forced to, because you have to write this story. They're like, hey, write a story about this club. And you're like, what club?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just interesting to me that you get to learn it so fast. You know?
I've heard so much information just about things going on campus and people and organizations and clubs and everything that I never would have known about if I hadn't started working here.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little bit of regret. You're like, oh my gosh, SIUE does that, and it's like, did I make the right choice? But it's then you realize it's every school, and you're like, whatever, it's not that bad. Try to find the good in things.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about it. So it was a Cougar Common Ground. It'll be in Lifestyles section for Chloe, but what was the club about?
Yes, so it's called Black Falcon. It is a student chapter of the Society for Creative Anachronism. Basically, the whole point is sort of researching and recreating different eras throughout history. They have a big focus on the medieval period, especially in Europe, but they kind of let you do whatever you want as far as medieval or historical recreation goes, including costuming, sword fighting, medieval combat and stuff like that. They have arts and culture, a lot of arts and sciences. They have classes you can learn about. I was talking to a few people, and the consensus I kind of got is that they really let you do anything from before the 17th century.
Wow. That's really cool. I mean, really. So did you get to go and watch?
Yeah, they had an event that they called Medieval Day on campus. Basically, they had all of these different things you could do. They had combat demonstrations. They had different demonstrations of leatherworking and fiber arts, and they even had cooking equipment and things like that. And they had tons of people they could talk to, both people from the new student chapter and people from the already existing chapter of the SCA, the Barony of the Shattered Crystal, which is in the area. I believe they sort of rule over southern Illinois, as it were.
Nice term of rule there. I like that. What really stood out to you about this story? Was there someone specifically that you interviewed that really stood out, or was there just an element that you were captured by as the reporter, trying to tell the story to the public?
So their president, Cal Lyon, was, I believe, an art and design major with a focus on metalsmithing. And they were telling me that they actually got their love of metalsmithing from the SCA, which they were in before they came to SIUE, and that's kind of what brought them there, or brought them here rather. And they were really excited to kind of share that passion. And I thought that was really interesting how they got basically this thing that they're getting this degree in out of the SCA. They got to learn how to do something like metalsmithing, and they're telling me about all of these different things that you could do, all of these different sort of passions that people can get out of it, like woodworking, metalworking, obviously, leatherworking, things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, as I mentioned, if you want to read more about Gavin's story and learn all about the club, you can check that out on Lifestyles and alestlelive.com or in the newspaper. But Gavin, that wasn't the only story you wrote, is that right?
That's true. I also covered the softball team's first match of the year on Saturday.
And how was it?
It was against the Maryville Saints, and SIUE won 6-1.
Oh, nice. Alestletics continues to bleed into our Alestle After Hours. Gavin, if you don't know, Alestletics is our sports podcast hosted by Audrey and myself. But yeah, that's pretty exciting. So you'll give Audrey and I something to talk about on the next episode. But no, like, tell me about, like, how was the game? I'm guessing you went and watched, and what was it like to report on Division I athletics? I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience getting to sit there and watch. I got to sit in the little box with the scorekeepers and everything, so I was right there on the field, kind of. It was just such a cool experience to kind of see it in action, because I'd never actually watched a softball game before, fun fact. So this was the first time I was doing it, and I was keeping score and keeping track of everything that was happening. And once you really know how the game works and you get to see it in action, it's really cool to see it all play out, see the ways that these different players sort of interact with each other and work together.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely, like, when I remember doing the first sports game I covered, you're sitting in the press box and you're like, oh my God, these people know everything and I know nothing. And it's really eye-opening and just like, wow, it's really cool to see, you know. But no, that was cool. And you got to interview a player too, I believe, right?
Yes, I interviewed senior outfielder Kaylin Fahey.
And how was she?
She was great. She was doing really good in the game. Her coach, Ben Sorden, was talking about some of the things she was doing, especially in the last inning, talking about making some chaos on the field, on the base paths, things like that. And I got to witness that. I got to see her running out on the bases. It was really cool seeing some of the dives and everything.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you what, the softball players, we've had a few of them on Alestletics, and they are just generally really nice.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard, like, after you interview and get to know them, like, they're really nice, and then you, like, watch the next game, you're like, come on, you can do it, you know? Like, you met them, and you kind of, like, internally are like, please do well, you know, for their sake, because they're just good people. And that's the best part about being, like, writing for SIUEs. Kind of, it's not that you're being biased by cheering for the team, but you're kind of just, you know the people involved, and they're usually generally pretty good people. Well, Gavin, congratulations on writing your first two. I know the staff really was impressed by your work. I talked to a few of the editors about some of the things you wrote, and they said high marks on everything, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice to have you. But let's take our eyes off of print for a little bit and turn to the video side with Tahzive over here, has been patiently waiting. Tahzive, you mind crash coursing us on what you've been kind of working on recently and what could people look for in the multimedia side of things?
So for the upcoming edition, I have two videos. So one is about Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month. It just kicks off from 15th, and it will through October 15th. And in the first event, I get to shoot Hispanic heritage food. So I'm already made a video about it. So it will be live on Alestle's multimedia page by Saturday. And the second video is about SIUE welcoming fall students in 2025. And it's the biggest intake in recent time in terms of student. As Chancellor Minor addressed in his budget speech, that it is 7.7% increase. This video will be really good, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up, because it's a really important story for the campus as a whole, but really just like to focus on the new students. I don't think they even realize how important it probably is, but like enrollment leads to so many different things. It leads to increased funding for activity, like the student fees goes to more because there's more students here paying into it, but then also it's just better representation for the school. So it's
Right.
really cool. So the video, does it focus mostly on like the students and like the welcoming them part?
Welcoming part and how they're starting their class and the college here
Yeah.
at SIUE.
Gavin here is one of those guys. You know, he's contributing to those numbers. So SIU,
Right.
thank Gavin
So,
here.
Gavin, because we had a budget deficit of 10.3 million, and now it came down for
Yeah.
all these new intakes.
Yeah, I know that the enrollment increase has definitely contributed to easing the pain on deficit. So Gavin, crash course. All colleges across the United States are really struggling with money. They're going into deficit. And so, especially with the fear of enrollment going down, because that's the prime driver for revenue for a institution or university. So it's really interesting to see. There was a lot of scare. In past years, we've been doing a lot of reporting on, like, is enrollment going to hold? So the fact that it went up, I think, is pretty crazy. And the fact that you did a video recognizing all those freshmen, is Gavin in it? I kind of want to know.
We have to check because there's lots of students.
There's a lot of footage.
Yeah.
Gavin, you might be spotlighted
Yeah.
before even being employed.
I wouldn't know, honestly.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't. Well, you know, it was funny. So we were both at Convocation.
Right.
Tahzive and I was doing
Live
media,
broadcasting,
yeah,
right?
media production for like just the event. And I saw you on your camera getting stuff done. Love to see it. That's so much fun.
Yeah, it was fun to see you there, and we both are shooting there. but-
Yeah. So we're like on camera. We give a slight wave, like, "Hey, I see you." No, it was really cool, and I honestly that was probably one of the. I remember my convocation. It was I don't remember it very well, but I remember it not being as cool as that. So It was definitely a big show, and they put on a big performance for the largest crowd. I think that was when they announced it.
Yes.
Yeah, that it was the largest freshman class, I think, since in 9 years. It was something like that. It was a really long time. So, no, that's a really good... Check that video out because that's really important for the school. So the Alestle is doing a great job covering it with Tahzive's video, and I'm sure it's been mentioned in other stories, probably like 5 of them at this point. It's just such a big moment. But you know what? Speaking of college, like coming into college, I kind of want to take a moment to address the idea that we're all at different points in our college career. Everyone in this room right now. Gavin, obviously, is a freshman. We've mentioned that a few times. I myself am a junior, so this is my 3rd year. And Tahzive is a graduate student.
Right.
So we're just kind of all at this different stage. And Gavin, for one of my favorite things is like when I was going into high school, I was determined to like make an impact on the younger students when I got older, because that's what students did for me, like seniors, they made an impact. So I've made that a goal here too, trying to keep that trend alive. So I just thought it was really cool. It would be really cool if we could like talk about where we're at. Tahzive, if you want to start, like just the things you've done in college that you like will always take with you, and things you can kind of impart on Gavin and maybe other freshmen that are tuning in.
Right. So, as you know, I'm a graduate student and also I'm an international student. So, when I first came here, before joining Alestle, I had no idea about what is going on in SIUE. But since we have to pitch and we have to take care of what event is going on, after that, I started enjoying university a lot more. So, I know where things are happening now. I go there, I do shoot, and I taste food, as I did in the Hispanic Heritage Month.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's becoming fun. And now that I'm at the end of my degree, I'm now more focusing on, my research paper and then searching for jobs.
Yeah.
So I'm on that stage currently.
Yeah, college is kind of this fun parallel between like, oh my gosh, like you're either you're learning independence from like your family or your hometown, and you're also like trying to figure out how to do it on your own a little bit. That's kind of the first stage, especially for international students too. You're really far away from home. And then like as you get to like where I'm at, you kind of hit that point of like you're in between both. You're looking for jobs, like what do I really want to do with my life for the rest of it, or most likely the rest of it. And then you're also trying to like build up all these institutional values within the school that you're at. So like for me, I'm involved in everything, it feels like. I don't even talk about this with my obsession, but it's just like the Alestle, a club, mass comm club, I'm doing all these things. And that's kind of where, as you get older, I feel like a student that has drive and was looking for a job, like they're really trying to get something out of college, they'll get involved. So that would be like my leave on like freshman students is like, hey, do something, like don't just sit in your dorm and sleep and do school. Like that's really sad, in my opinion. And maybe some people, that's what it's for them, but like try to get involved.
But time goes really fast.
It really-
when I started the university, I thought I have time, but it just gone in a blink.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you just don't realize, like, how many things, like you mentioned, like we mentioned earlier, like, there's so many clubs and activities on the campus that you might not know about. You kind of got to go out and find them. That's, like, our job is to kind of deliver them to people. But, like, and you did a great job of that, Gavin. I think, like, that club is really cool. People might listen and be like, hey, that's what I want to do. And you should. That's kind of the whole point of this. So, Gavin, is there anything that you don't know about, or you're kind of like wish you could find out now before, like, you kind of start this college career?
I'll say I'm doing pretty good, honestly, in terms of getting out of my dorm and doing stuff. I've already been kind of swamped, honestly, just with how much stuff I have on my planner. I guess in terms of things that I'm not sure about, it's mostly just balancing it all, figuring out, kind of finding my niche, figuring out what specifically I want to stay with and what things I can maybe drop, what really makes me tick, and what things I should keep around.
Definitely. No, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's kind of the opposite side of the spectrum for problems of, like, students that don't do anything and then they do just so much. I'm right there with you. Like, It's like I had to turn down a few opportunities even in this last week of, like, hey, do you want to do work? And I'm like, I do, but I just can't, you know?
Yeah,
like, I really want to. It's really interesting stuff, and I want to partake in it, and sometimes I have a hard time saying no. So it's definitely something that you got to work on, and I think, like, Tahzive, I'm sure it gets easier to be like, no, I can't do this. I have a research paper. Like, I'm sorry, guys. Unless it's, like, work related, I'm just no.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's really cool. I think, Gavin, you are, like you said, I think you're doing great. You'll have a great college career. Hopefully all the other freshmen here at SIUE will continue. Maybe they're listening in. Maybe they'll be inspired and jump into something. So
Thank you.
let's just take a quick drive over current events. First of all, I have to start with this, though, because I think it's interesting. I saw from the White House reports that we might have a TikTok deal not going. I don't know. I wanted to put this in here because I think it's funny. For the last, like, 3 years? I don't know, 2 years or whatever. We have all I remember when TikTok is dying and everyone posted, like, this is my last TikTok. Don't forget me. Follow my Instagram. Do you guys remember that? Like, oh my gosh. And then it's not dead. It's fine. We're here. And now it was like, is it going to die again? And now we've been in, like, this limbo. But apparently, according to the White House, which, you know, take it as you will, but they might have a deal coming up soon with China. So we will see. But an interesting thing.
Right?
Yeah, I know. I hate to say it. I have a love-hate relationship with it. Like, I do doom scroll on my TikTok feed. It's a reality. I'll admit it.
Yeah, you try not to, but sometimes it just happens.
You just
When
wind.
you go in, it just takes your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just, like, crazy, especially now. You know, just with all, like, well, I guess within the last, like, 4 years, it just blows up. You know, with certain ideas or whatever. So it's really interesting to see, and I don't know if it's a good thing that it's staying around. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna leave that judgment up to me. Leave that up to higher people, but it is interesting. And then I guess before we get to our obsessions, we just have to acknowledge the cultural event that's been going around with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Obviously, everyone at the newspaper here condemns political violence in any way, should not be tolerated or accepted. So just putting that out there here, that's our message from me, from the staff. I think everyone can totally agree with that. So
Yeah.
But on a more positive note, and away from TikTok, because we all know that that's just too much, let's talk about our obsession. So, Gavin, I know that I kind of mentioned this before, but, like, your obsession is basically, like, what's got you encaptured in the last 2 weeks? Like, what are you most looking forward to? So my obsession would be SIUE hockey, club hockey, I should say, is starting back up. And I am one of the broadcasters that does live play-by-play announcing for it. So I'll be on the air and students will be, like, helping me broadcast it live for everyone to watch, which is really cool. So I was kind of wondering what you guys were doing for obsessions this week.
So for this week, for past couple of weeks, I'm trying to take care of myself more in terms of fitness. So I'm taking less carb, less sugar, try to be more fit, and started running a bit so that, I can be more fit.
Yeah, good for you, dude. That's awesome. So have you been going to the gym?
Not really, but I'm started walking in the trail.
There you go.
Nice.
I'm trying to hit like 3 miles every day.
Yeah, that's like the first step, you
Yeah.
know, or like the diet. That's usually a good first step too. Just kind of like I wish I could get into it, man. I really need to. Like, just going to the gym more. It's just time. I don't have much time, so it's, like, hard to commit.
I've tried to, just since getting here, I've tried to make it a habit of going to the gym at least once a week, just because that's something I didn't really have at home. But now it's so close because I live in Bluff, which is, if I remember correctly, the closest to the Student Fitness Center. So it's like right there.
Yeah, Gavin, you're a better person than me. I said the same thing. I told my mom, I was like, I'm going to go to the gym. It's free to use. And she's like, you're not doing that. And I'm like, no, I will. I promise. And then I didn't. And, I think I went like maybe twice. And then I was like, yeah, no. That's the thing. That was a nice thing I miss about high school is like it was built into my schedule. Like we had weights, Yeah, so I would that was my gym. Now, obviously, people would be like, it was a joke and went to the gym anyways. And I probably should have too. But, no, that's real. How about you, Gavin? What's your obsession?
So I started playing tennis with the tennis club here, and I haven't had a lot of time for that in the passing weeks, but I want to do that a lot more, kind of for similar reasons as Tahzive. I kind of want to get off my feet, get moving a lot more. I think it's really good cardio, especially when you play a really good point. And I've been improving a lot. I've been playing for 2 years, and I'm not exactly a professional player or anything like that, but I'm kind of proud of my own improvement, and I kind of want to see how far I can go instead of just setting it down. I kind of want to see what else I can do with it.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think you're right. That's what I did in high school. I played ice hockey. I was not good, just not good at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't say that. I made the team and all that stuff, but it wasn't wasn't playing it to be a pro. And I think that's the cool thing about club sports here is you get that competitive level. Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah,
I do miss that. I miss competitive hockey.
Yeah, it's competitive, but not overly competitive.
Right.
Which is the thing. In my high school tennis team, we didn't need tryouts or anything because they just didn't have that many people. So I'd go there just as kind of a fun hobby, and then we'd play in actual matches, and I'd get destroyed by people who put a lot of time and effort into this and want to be really competitive.
Yeah.
But here it's just kind of, I get to play at my own level, play at my own pace, get to kind of develop my skills at my own pace. And I'm really excited to take advantage of that.
For sure. Yeah. Have you made any good friends from it yet?
I actually met one of the copy editors at the Alestle, Matthew Walden. I actually met him there without knowing it was him.
That's crazy.
So he just started at club tennis too recently, and I was talking to him. He was like, yeah, I'm kind of new to this. I don't really know the form or anything. So I was kind of giving him a few tips. And then later towards the end, he comes up to me and somebody introduces us, and we both point at each other like, you're the new guy at the Alestle.
Yeah.
You're the guy I heard about.
Stars align.
Yeah.
That's cool. See, that's a great thing. So this is great for our freshman listeners. They're just getting a whole lesson of why you should be involved. But yeah, no. And then I already mentioned SIUE club hockey is kicking up. So I'd actually probably be going on as this episode is releasing. So tune in. No, I'm just kidding. But that'll be all for this week's episode of the Alestle After Hours. Please pick up a copy of the newspaper and check out Tahzive's wonderful videos on alestlelive.com and all our other great content that may have missed the publication of print. As for this week, we are done with Alestle After Hours. Next week, we'll be back with Alestletics. Audrey and myself, I'm sure we will have something to talk about, probably men's and women's soccer again, which was sad, but we'll get to that when we get there. We'll see what's going on. That's for this show, I should say. We will be back in about 3 weeks, so keep an eye out for any updates or anything like that, and we will see you again soon.